Okay, Finn Russell has been axed from Scotland's Six Nations squad. He's been kicked out of Scotland's Six Nations squad over discipline breaches resulting from a late night drinking session on Sunday night last week and a breach of team curfew, several failures to report on time or to training at all, and also leaving camp completely and going back to France to his club Racing during the week in the aftermath of being basically demoted to the bench for the weekend's game against Ireland coming up next weekend, and losing his starting spot. There apparently has been a breakdown in the relationship between Gregor Townsend and Finn Russell. That's been an ongoing issue for quite some time. Reports suggest that in the aftermath of the England game, or during half-time, they entered into a very bitter row about how the game was going, bearing in mind Scotland were getting hammered at half-time. And could that have lingered over into the warm-up tests for the World Cup and the World Cup itself, where Scotland really underperformed? There is clearly some tension between Finn Russell and Gregor Townsend. Gregor Townsend's clearly put a curfew in place. Clearly this is not an isolated incident with Finn Russell. If there is a curfew in place for late night drinking prior to a training camp, and if Finn Russell has breached that, then there's clearly reasons why there's a curfew in place. But his failure to turn up on time or report to training on consecutive days, and then he decides to go back to his club in France, is another cause of concern for a lack of discipline on the player's part. He didn't take very well, clearly, to being told he wasn't going to be a starter against Ireland at the weekend, and he's going to start from the bench. But this is a headache Gregor Townsend doesn't need. He's the coach, for me, under the most pressure going into this Six Nations. There's four new coaches. There's four coaches with no pressure upon them. And Gregor Townsend is one of those coaches left over from last year's tournament. He's under the most pressure. They failed to perform at the World Cup. This creates issues at 10. Is Hastings ready to be the starting 10? And if he feels Hastings isn't ready to be the starting 10, does he put Peter Horn in at 10, at least as a short-term measure, until they can work out what kind of disciplinary action to take against Finn Russell going forward? Also, another question, is Finn Russell's international career over because of this, or as long as Gregor Townsend's the coach, is his international career on hold? Is it similar to Danny Cipriani with some of his antics off the field hampering his England career? Now, Finn Russell's got a lot more caps than Danny Cipriani has for Scotland, but could his career be on hold while this particular coach is in charge? And if it transpires that this really wrecks Scotland's Six Nations campaign and they struggle throughout the tournament, Gregor Townsend's job, is it on the line? Or conversely, if they do really well with a different fly half, maybe Hastings or Horn, and they do really well and actually really perform differently and positively, could this actually be the turning point in the reign of Gregor Townsend as Scotland coach and in Scotland's fortunes going forward? There's a lot of unanswered questions. Could there be disruption in the dressing room because of Finn Russell? Is he a dressing room disruption? They've got a new captain in Stuart Hogg, so there's a lot of changes with Scotland, and this, I think, is a problem for them going into the tournament. This is a headache that they don't need. Trouble build up to a tournament where they underperformed last year to a point, weren't consistent enough, not from game to game, but also in games. The England game proved that, but also after a poor World Cup as well. So we'll see what happens, but Finn Russell has been kicked out of Scotland's Six Nations squad for now. He may be recalled yet, but time will tell. But this story, I think more is going to come out about this story, and if there's a pattern of misbehaviour from Finn Russell over a long period of time, this could be international career at least, over. But thank you for watching for now. Place your thoughts on the situation below. I'll be interested to hear them, and I'll have some more videos for you very, very soon.